Feels like every day another confirmed cast member to Avengers Infinity War. A very big cast that is getting. Apparently it's always been rumoured that it's 63, 64 apparently is going to be in this movie, but so far there's certain characters that I believe that I think should be in Avengers Infinity War. I guess also the fourth one as well, whatever the hell it's going to be called, that should actually appear in it. Now some of these choices that I've got, I'm just going to quickly say that pure and simply, some of them I believe that I would just like to see them simply, I'm not going to lie. But then there's some I have got a bit of an explanation, I guess, some reasonings, I think, of why. Now, yes, as I said, these are, I believe, characters that either been rumoured or have just not been confirmed so far. So, yeah, these are my picks on characters who should appear in Avengers Infinity War. Odin. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I generally think Anthony Hopkins' Odin is probably one of the most underrated bits of casting in any superhero movie, to be honest. I think he's fantastic as Odin, and I think he would play such a huge part into the Infinity War in general. I think he'd be a huge figure, especially that kind of. I mean, you know, he's the king of Asgard, unless obviously something happens in Thor Ragnarok. I'm not really too sure, but I think it would be a huge mistake if Odin is definitely not in Infinity War. Nova Prime. Now, much like with Odin, you gotta have that other kind of figurehead of the kind of more, obviously she is the kind of the police force, I guess, if you want to call it, with space, with the Nova Corps. And I think that'd be another huge part. She has got an Infinity Stone, so surely there's going to be some sort of kind of scene or something of her, I would imagine. I do think Glenn Close is amazing. I think it was a bit of a shame she wasn't in the second Guardians of the Galaxy. Apparently she was meant to be, but she wasn't, so... But yeah, I would definitely, more Glenn Close the better in my eyes. Abomination. Now for me, actually, I think I actually really quite enjoyed Abomination. I thought he was actually quite a great villain. And there's been many rumours that he was supposed to come back. Tim Roth has said himself that he was actually meant to come back for Avengers Age of Ultron, but just things fell through. So there's obviously Marvel are still clearly keen to bring back Abomination, and he's actually been mentioned quite a couple of times in TV shows and the movies. So it's, you know, it's interesting that they clearly have some form of kind of a reason to keep that kind of name going, and I really hope so, because I quite like Tim Roth, and I think he could still give a quite a good performance, really. I actually thought he was really good and incredible. I think he's one of the best things about the movie. But yeah, I would like to see more of the villains back, so obviously Abomination is up there for me. The Mandarin. I mean the real Mandarin. Yes, now there's obviously different looks of the Mandarin by rights. There's obviously many different looks in the comics and then the TV shows as well, but for me I always quite like the kind of the suit version, I guess. I guess it's not really the most offensive kind of look as well, if you want to call it that, but yes, I quite like that kind of look. And obviously, you know, a lot of people didn't like what happened in Iron Man 3. I didn't really mind what happened in Iron Man 3 because I think it was actually quite a good twist, because I didn't see that coming personally. At the end of the day, if you've watched the short movie that they did after it, there is a real Mandarin out there. Now, the reason why I also want to quickly just talk about the Mandarin here is the fact that they have mentioned constantly that this is Infinity War is the big moment of everything that's led up since the first Iron Man movie. But then I thought to myself, there's not really much Infinity Stone stuff in actually Iron Man, so I thought to myself, maybe it's actually ending also the Ten Rings stuff, because by rights they're kind of still out there and obviously still going, and because there's a wee little cameo of the fella that's in the Ant-Man. So yeah, I think it would be interesting to a full-on proper Mandarin. For me, I think played by Ken Watanabe would be quite good as well, I think, personally. Red Skull. Now, anyone always kind of says Loki is the greatest villain of the MCU, but a lot of people always say the second is definitely the Red Skull. I think that's simply because of the performance of what Hugo Weaving gave. He was so good as that said villain. And obviously how he kind of left was, I think it was a bit of a set-up to Infinity War for me personally. He gets shot into space, and I think Thanos is keeping him secure and ready to get him back to Earth, I think, to cause some havoc. That's what I've always perceived. I know Hugo Weaving's been a bit off of actually wanting to come back, but maybe they could maybe sort something out with him. I think that'd be quite interesting. Pepper Potts. Now, much like I've just said a bit there with the whole Mandarin stuff, obviously, you know, with Iron Man leading, you know, as it all started off, kind of finishing stuff off, and I think Pepper Potts would be included in that. To continue whatever's going on with her and Tony, but not just that, I'd like to see her actually play Rescue, that kind of suit of armour. You know, I don't want to just see her coming back as just good old Pepper Potts. I wouldn't mind actually seeing, you know, Gwyneth Paltrow in some action. You know, she was actually alright in Iron Man 3, to be fair, and I think she did quite a good job, and I wouldn't mind Wouldn't mind seeing her one last time. Dum Dum Dugan. Now I'm not gonna lie, Dum Dum Dugan is literally one of my favourite characters. I like him in the comics, and I actually quite like him in the movies. And he's even appeared quite a couple of times in TV shows as well. Agent Carter, I think he was good in. And I don't know why, but he's one of those characters I just really like. But I think he'd be good to bring back, because apparently Neil McDuff has said many times that apparently there was times he was going to come back. But I think it'd be a good way to bring him back to connect to Nick Fury's past, because I feel like Nick doesn't have much of a past we don't really know much of him, and I think they could do so much with him, and I think they could do that through Dum Dum Dugan. You know, maybe the Infinity Serum, they both took that or something. Oh, I'm not gonna lie, I just want to see more Dum Dum Dugan. Happy Hogan. Now, Happy Hogan's one of those characters where, yeah, it's not really obviously a big part of the overall story, but because it's Jon Favreau, you kind of automatically like him. I think he's very charming. I've always quite liked Happy Hogan. No matter what, I think he's a nice kind of addition. He's very much Tony Stark's equivalent of Alfred, really, and I quite like that. But also, I think, if I'm honest, I think he would need to die. I think he'd be one of the characters I think would need to kind of go. I do think certain characters need to go, and I think he would be definitely on that chopping block. Justin Hammer. Now, I actually quite like Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer. I thought he did a really good job in Iron Man 2. He's probably one of the best things about Iron Man 2 for me personally. I also liked him in the short movie as well that they done. I quite liked him in that, and I would like to see more of him, really. It's quite amazing to think that he was originally going to be Tony Stark until Robert Downey Jr. got the role, so that was quite an interesting thing. But as I said, I want to bring back villains of the past, and I think he was very much a good one, and his story's still kind of like, well, he's not dead, you know, so I think they could really do some more with him, for me personally. Betty Ross. Now, I think, actually, out of all I'm going to say today, I do think she's near enough almost confirmed, I'm sure, actually, because I'm sure I remember I read a report about Liv Tyler of that. Apparently, she was seen, and she's been heavily rumoured now to appear, and I really hope so. But as I said, I'm talking about characters that haven't been confirmed, really, and she's not been confirmed. I really liked Liv Tyler, actually, Incredible Hulk. I think she did a really good balance of smart but a little bit kind of timid at the same time, almost, which I quite liked, and I think it's quite hard to kind of pull off without being annoying, really. And I think she does it quite well. And it'll be interesting to see, you know, but her and Mark Ruffalo, obviously they've not really done anything together in Hulk sense, so I think that would be quite good. And again, you know, finishing off some stuff and keep on connecting that the Incredible Hulk is connected. So yeah, I think she would be definitely one up there for me. Thunderbolt Ross. Now, yes, I guess I'm keeping on with the Incredible Hulk kind of connections here. I'm not going to lie, I really like William Hurt as Thunderbolt Ross. I think he does a fantastic job. Again, a bit like Anthony Hopkins as Odin, I think he's very underrated. I don't think he gets the credit. I think he portrays it so well. Just obviously, he's a very tall man, and I think that's what I quite like about his performance. Whenever he's in a scene, I feel like you really are quite just focusing on him, and I think he does a good job with that, with his the way he just speaks and the way he commands a scene. I think he does it really well, and I especially being back in Civil War, he's very much part of the main stories, I guess, right now, so it's quite good, and I would like to see more of him, really. Christine Everhart. Now, this is a character probably a lot of you are like, oh, really? But, no, as it says, I think it'll be good to kind of finish off some characters that, you know, did appear from the first Iron Man movie, and obviously she's appeared in a lot of the web stories of these news reports that they do, which I think are actually quite a clever bit of marketing, actually. But, again, I think she should be one that goes on the chopping block, and I think you know, I think she would be, I don't know how, but I just think I think it'd be interesting to actually have her, the whole what's happening in Infinity War, and she's kind of doing news reports over or something, like what's kind of happening. That'd be kind of interesting, I guess, that kind of stuff. Useless Claw. I absolutely adore Andy Serkis, and I think he was great in Age of Ultron, even in that one scene, and even in the trailer, man, for Black Panther, he's looking great. And as I keep saying, I want to see villains. I wouldn't mind seeing the Thunderbolts or the Masters of Evil. I don't know how they would do it, but I definitely want to see. I want to see Andy Serkis in this kind of like big movie, and I think there's going to be, you know, even a lot more than this is going to be in it. But he's definitely up there for me. I'd like to see. So yeah, that's my kind of list of characters I'd like to see in Avengers Infinity War. What do you guys think? Comment down below. I want to know what you think. Who would you like to see, or maybe who would you not like to see? Actually, that'd be maybe interesting. But yeah, comment down below. Tell me what you think. More videos in the future. So until then, see you later.